What's up, everybody? It's Coach Dave, and I lift,
And Laura and I lift, and welcome to the She Lifts.
he lifts podcast. And tonight we are talking about our goals. And that's right, because we've told you how to train for your goals. We've talked about how to eat for our goals. We've talked about staying consistent towards your goals. But what we haven't talked about is how to set up your goals. And I think one of we had to start at the beginning, because let's face it, there is a reason why we're all here, right, Laura?
Heck yeah. So, in my experience, when I first started, I had the goal that I wanted to lose weight. There are a million flies around here, so just a disclaimer: if you see me doing that, I'm trying to get these flies, so don't mind that the rest of the video. But when I
Yeah,
first
she's trying to be
started,
like me. That's what it is.
yeah, I'm trying to steal your thing, but killing flies version. When I first started, I had the goal to lose weight, which is too big. Okay. Yes, that is a goal. But when we are thinking about our goals, we want to dig a little bit deeper. And we want to find our why, which is the reason why we want to lose weight. Now, I'm just going to use that as an example. So please insert your goals into like when I'm saying I want to lose weight, insert your goal into that sentence, replace it with lose weight because we can lose weight, we can gain weight, we can build muscle. There's so many different goals. So I'm just going to stick with this for time's sake. So why do we want to lose weight? Some common things I hear from just meeting with clients over the years. Some people want to lose weight because they want to build confidence. Some people want to lose weight because they think it'll help their joints. Some people want to lose weight because they want to have their medical markers, like their cholesterol levels and their lipids and all that. They want that to go down. Some people want to lose weight so they can play with their kids or their grandkids. So that is getting a little bit deeper. Still, that's not deep enough because we want to dig a little bit deeper so that when we are having those days where we don't feel like getting it done and we're not motivated and we have a million excuses, we need to get a little deeper so that we don't let those excuses get in the way. So, why or like how is that going to impact your life when you are more confident, your medical markers go down, you can play with your grandkids? How is that going to impact your life? I'm going to leave that one open ended because I did give you some examples for the first two, but for your why, I don't want to put like words in your head. You need to come up with that on your own. You need to dig deep, think about how this is going to impact your life, and always keep it in the forefront of your brain. So, on those days, like I said, where you don't feel like getting it done, you need to think about that deep why. Because when you don't feel like getting it done and you're like, man, but I really wanted to lose weight, that is way too vague because, like, you could lose a pound and technically you lost weight. And when we dig deeper and get to that why, that is going to, that specificness of your why is going to keep you motivated instead of just having that vague long term goal to stick to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more specific you can be, I think the easier it is to stay consistent. Because when we start to fall off, we have to remember that why. And I'll be honest with you, that why can change. Um, and again, like you said, Laura, when you started, you wanted to lose weight. Um, I wanted to lose weight too. And I didn't just want to lose weight. I needed to lose weight. I was having, and then my medical markers were out of whack. I was having problems sleeping, you know, and at the time I was a new dad. My daughter, who's 13 now, was not even a year old. And I was having all these problems. So over time, obviously I'm physically better, but there have been other things that have come up in the journey that keep me consistent. So the why is important, but the why may change. And one of the things that you said about finding that motivation is great because motivation will get you started. Motivation gets you off the couch. Motivation gets you into the gym. Motivation gets you walking. Motivation will get you going to the grocery store and buying healthier food. But what's going to keep you going is discipline. And discipline is something that I think we overlook. It started to come to the forefront, I think, more and more. But every year, at the beginning of the year, Laura, for the last, well, for me, it's going on 4. For you, it's going on 5. People come to say, I'm motivated, I'm ready to go. And that motivation fades. That motivation fades because the weather gets nicer. Motivation fades because you've seen some results, and now it's starting to get hard. That motivation fades because you start to miss the things that you've had to cut back on. Discipline's what keeps you going. The definition of discipline to me is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. And that will get you closer to your goals a lot faster than motivation. So that's just my little spiel on it. That's my take on it. But in order to get to have that motivation, once we've discovered that why, in order to develop that discipline, the next thing we need to do is set our goals. And there is, I've the first time I ever heard this phrase, we call it SMART goals. First time I ever heard that was actually I was still selling cars, um, and it was one of those things. Like I've said before, I'm not a very Tony Robbins self-improvement guru by any means, but these is one of those things that did resonate with me. And the acronym is SMART, SMART goals. And I'm going to let Laura. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. I'm going to let Laura start this off because I know she is just sort of just talked about this about being.
Yes, so we want to get specific. So that's why we need that why at the beginning, because if your goals are not specific enough, that discipline is not going to kick in. So when I'm saying I want to lose weight, at the beginning, like Dave said, I'm motivated to lose weight. It takes, there's like a bunch of different opinions on this one, but I'm sure we've all heard it takes 21 days to form a habit, or it takes 8 weeks to form a habit. There are plenty of variations of that time frame on how long it takes to form a habit. So you need to get specific enough so that on those days where your motivation wears out, your discipline will start to kick in. So go back, get specific. How is this going to change your life? This is just like a bonus tip here. When you are trying to practice your discipline, so if you're like, okay, I have my goals now, like I'm still having a hard time, like I think about my why, I'm still having a hard time making myself do it. I cannot remember where I learned this, but it's called habit stacking. Oh my God, this fly. It's called habit stacking. So like think about something, and you may already do this without knowing, something that you already do, like brushing your teeth. You're going to stack a healthy habit to brushing your teeth because you're going to brush your teeth every single day, no matter what. A lot of times I hear people when they have to go to the gym, as soon as they get home, they change their clothes, they change their shoes, and they go. Or as soon as they get off work, their gym bag is in their car, and they go to the gym. If you come home and you start like you're unwinding, it's going to be a lot harder to make yourself go back to the gym. So try to habit stack on top of things that you already do to help get that discipline to take over. But yes, we want to get specific so that the discipline starts to take over and that habit stacking will start to form a habit instead of relying on our motivation. So after we get specific, we need to move on to how we are going to track our goals or our progress.
And I think that's extremely important, the tracking portion of it. And tracking will take different forms on different things, but in order to make our goal a smart goal, we need to be able to track it in some way, shape, or form. You need to be able to to measure it in some way. It has to be something defined. One of the things, like Laura said with the specific, great, she wants to lose weight. How much weight? And then guys, again, we're using this weight the weight loss because first of all, it is the easiest to explain it, and it is a very common theme among clients that come to us. But it's it needs to be measured. Saying I want to lose weight, yeah, that's specific. Is versus saying, oh, I want to be fit or I want to be healthy. There's a lot of things that go into that. But I want to lose weight, and then measure it. How much weight? And even if we're going to measure, we to measure it, there can be like we have started to say, okay, I need to lose 50 pounds. Well, we're not going to lose 50 pounds right off the bat. So let's set small goals for along the way too. Smaller measurements that we can achieve in a bit, which leads us right into our next topic, Laura, which is
Yes.
things that we can actually achieve.
Yes, so we need to be realistic with ourselves. It is okay to set long-term goals. So you can have a goal like that you know it's gonna take you a long time to hit that goal. So it is okay if that is your end goal. What we don't want to do is set a goal that is unrealistic for us. So, this is a little bit more of like a complicated, like you might be thinking like, well, how do I know if it's unrealistic? Um, think about your body, your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is going to play a key role in this one. So, sometimes when I meet with people, they want to be like, well, I want to be like super lean, I want to have a six pack, and then I'm like, okay, well, does your lifestyle lend to you being able to have a six pack? Like, how much do you enjoy your food? How much do you enjoy your drinks? Like, are you going to be able to hit that goal, sustain it, and feel good about it, and fit that into your lifestyle? So yeah, like it would be cool to have a six pack. That's not gonna fit my lifestyle. So I already know, like, yeah, maybe one day that I don't know. I'm not old, but like I think my six pack days might be behind me, which is fine because I don't really
They are
care.
not.
I don't really care about having a six pack, to be honest. I would rather be strong anyway.
I
But
have a six packets in my refrigerator.
exactly. That's, see, look at that. We're so, yeah, different looks, different takes on the six pack. Um, Another one that might be unrealistic for you is to compare yourself to somebody else. Actually, one of my clients literally yesterday, she texted me a video of a girl deadlifting and she said, "Do you think I could look like this?" And I texted her back and I was like, so no, because you are you and she is her. No matter if you eat the same exact things, if you follow the same exact nutrition plan she's on, you follow the same exact workouts you do, you get the same amount of sleep, you do the same job, whatever. You still have genetic differences between you and this person. So I said, you can get your version of that, and it's going to be pretty close. It's going to be pretty similar. You can get like the same amount of muscle definition as her, but are you going to have her same exact body type? No. Just because you're you and they are them. So when you're setting your goals, don't set a goal that is somebody else's body type because you don't know. I mean, yeah, with influencers, we like to think that they share all of their information. You don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. So make sure you are realistic when you are setting your goals. Uh, this next one that Dave's about to go over kind of goes hand in hand with that a little bit, but he's going to touch more on the relevancy of our goals. Or real? Are we going relevant or realistic for the
Relevant,
R? Relevant.
relevant,
Okay.
relevant. And you're right. You know, it's funny you say we always come back to that six pack thing because I don't think some people know just how hard that is to get. And secondly, to expound on what you just said, you're not too old because I actually did have one about a week ago.
True.
Um, and then I'm 44 to your 30. So
True.
let's remember that. But no, relevant. Let's relevant because a lot of times we set goals and we start to intermix our goals because we'll set professional goals, we'll set our fitness goals, we'll set personal goals, and next thing you know, and it's easy, especially when it comes to fitness, I think, because a lot of the habits that we've talked about this before, a lot about the habits that we pick up sort of bleed over into those other areas of our life, and that's a positive thing. But at the same time, we have to keep our our fitness goals. I've had people come to me before and say, I want to lose weight or I want to get in shape because I think that it will get me ahead in my career because people will look at me a different way. First of all, that's a confidence issue, not necessarily true. Because one thing I learned in my years in the car business is when it comes to business, there's only one thing that matters, and that's money. Secondly, it, if you start thinking about your job, about your other things, while you're working on your fitness. First of all, once you get sort of to that point and you start getting that promotion, now your fitness is going to fall away. Second part of this is I don't like that distraction when you're on your fitness because to me, when you're coming to me and saying I'm going to do this so I can be better at my job, automatically you are going to prioritize your job over your fitness. And we've said this before, we're not here to be supermodels. We're not here to be athletes. We're not here to be bodybuilders. We're here to improve our health. And above all else, our health and fitness needs to be a priority. Aside from our children, that needs to be a priority in our life. And that's sort of my soapbox for today,
Mic drop.
right?
Yes. 100%. I think a lot of times, so I think our culture is kind of moving. Like I think a couple years ago we were a little more like hustle and grind and stuff like that. And now I think a lot more people are starting to kind of, have you heard the term like quiet quitting?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
quiet quitting and rage quitting. I've
either.
heard right. I've heard that more, and it's funny that you say that because I almost feel like life goes in cycles. Because back when I was a kid, I remember watching and really in movies and TV, if you watch movies from like the late '80s and the early '90s, especially in the late '80s, you would see everybody was all about business and growth, and there was a lot of the grind and I, honestly, I feel like we talked about this before, not to go off on a tangent, but we talked about this before. Remember, I said stop glorifying lack of sleep.
Yes.
That's like the first time
Work.
I like really started to notice that about, and of course I was 10 maybe or younger, and I started to notice adults like would like they look always look tired to me. I'm like, don't y'all ever sleep? And no, they didn't, because they
Grinding.
were working all the time,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you only have one body and you are replaceable at your job. Unfortunately, you
hmm
are replaceable. But anyway, back to it. T for smart is time bound. So we want to set, so like going back to the I want to lose weight. I could say that I want to lose weight and it could take me 20 years to lose that weight. That I just want to preface that is perfectly okay. Sometimes when you start a fitness journey, sometimes you start and then you fall off and then you start again and then you fall off and you learn things along the way. And it may take you years to get to your end goal, but that doesn't mean that you should stop trying. So I threw out 20 years as just as a number, but don't take that like, oh man, I've been on this for a long time since I was in high school and I still never did it or whatever. Like, that's not a bad thing. But we want to give it time so that we don't end up in a situation where we're just like, there's no urgency. And we don't want to be like super urgent to the point where we're going to be unhealthy because, as always, health is the priority. But we want to have short term goals and long term goals. We want to set a big long term goal. Again, we want to have that goal be measurable on the amount of time that we want it to take. And yes, that goal is going to be farther down the road, and we may lose sight of that goal a little bit. It does happen. So we want to set long-term goals and short-term goals because the more goals we set along the way, the more motivated it keeps us. So that we always don't have to rely on that discipline. And your short-term goals, as if we're using weight loss as the example, they don't need to be like, okay, in 2 months I want to lose 5 pounds. In 4 months I want to lose 10 pounds. It can be completely like in 2 months I want to be able to go up and down the stairs without feeling so winded. In 4 months I want my cholesterol to go down. In 6 months I want to lose 30 pounds or whatever it is, depending on where your starting point is. It does not have to be all connected. I think the more, and I'm going to touch on this in a little bit, the more non weight or like non physical goals that you set for yourself, not only are you going to set yourself up for your success with your goal hitting and your body image, but you're also going to acknowledge how this journey is making you feel. And the more you can acknowledge how you feel along the way, the more consistent you're going to be. So with our time bound, we're going to go into ways we kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but Dave's going to get a little bit more in depth on how you can acknowledge your journey.
So one of the things that you say with the with time bound, and I just want to add something to that real quick, is that it these all of these specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound, everything sort of ties in together. And when you can put that all together, that's when you know you can really start making making a difference in whether it's in your physique or your overall health or whether it's in your muscle tone or whatever part of your fitness that you want to be. But once you get going, you need to be able to track it. And that's again what I said when measurable be able to track it. The next thing is to do is to actually track it because there's a lot of numbers when it comes to fitness. when it comes to fitness. There's the weight that we lift. There's the time that we can run. There's the amount of time that we spend in the gym. There's time under tension, which we haven't even really talked about before. But the more things that we can track now, again, I'm going to set this up by saying make sure you're not tracking to the point of obsession. But have you ever seen people in the gym with a notebook or a pad, or sometimes people playing on their phones? Sometimes they are just playing on their phones. I get it, but there are sometimes people keep notes in their phone of how much weight they bench press on different days, and then they keep track of how much water, and then they sort of go back and they look. Okay, well, I was made sure I was hydrated this day, and my bench press was, you know, let's say 185, and it felt really good. Today, next week, 155 felt like a struggle. Let me check my water. Oh, I wasn't hydrated enough. Yes, there comes a point where that crosses from productive into obsessive, and that's the point that we don't want to cross. And I'm going to give you again an example from my own life. I was a couple weeks ago, I was very obsessive about my weight to the point that I was weighing myself like every morning and every night. Now, it was for a short term, it was for a short term goal. We've talked about this before. But as I'm doing it, I'm like, you've got to remember, once you're done, once this tournament is over, you need to stop this. Like, it's not the end of the world. Am I still going to keep an eye on my weight once or twice a week? Yeah, not twice a day. Am I still going to worry about every calorie that I eat? Am I still going to worry about not eating? No, I'm not going to track everything. I'm still going to track the weight that I lift. And you've got to figure out where that point is for you, because that point is different for everybody. I've never been one to carry a notebook and write down my weights. I do carry a clipboard, especially now that I have my workout and I check off what I've done today, that I've done, and mark my sets off. I know about how much weight I can do for my lifts now, and I know when I won't feel like I want to push myself. But make sure that you are tracking to get there in the first place. Make sure that you are at least getting started. Track your calories if you need to. Track your macros if you need to. And again, those are little things I think that come into play, and those will get us to that next level. Once we get to a certain level, you may want to dial that back a bit. Again, like we talked about, and we talked about last week specifically in the nutrition, we don't want to develop unhealthy relationship with food or fitness for that matter, because not all of our victories come on the scale. There's a lot of other things that we can achieve.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
think real quick before like tracking, I am an obsessive tracker. I've talked about this a couple times. Some things, so I and Dave and I talked about this before. I know, like, obviously I'm a trainer, so like I have a tendency to enjoy, honestly, I fucking love all of this shit. Like, I keep track of everything in my head. Like, I know how many hours of sleep I get. I know how many hours of sleep I do better on. I know how much water I need to drink to make sure that I'm as strong. I know what foods I need to eat to keep pushing my strength. So, when you keep track of things, I have this conversation with my clients a lot too. You will have a time where if you're pushing strength or you're pushing your reps or something, like if you're going 12 reps, your 12th rep may be harder than it was the last time you did 12 reps of that exercise. That weight that you put on for your warm up someday, it might feel heavier than it usually does. When we are tracking stuff like that, it makes it a lot easier to be like, oh my gosh, like this weight feels a lot heavier. Let me go back and look. Okay, so last time I did this weight, I got 8 hours of sleep. Today I only got 6 hours of sleep. That's why it's feeling heavier today, instead of the instant, like, because we're human, we have a tendency to go for the negatives, like, oh my God, I suck, like, I'm not as strong today, like, we instantly go to that place. So when you're tracking, it gives you the answer. There is always an answer why some things aren't moving like they do. And when you keep track of things like that, you can learn the answer fairly quickly. I have talked about this before. I'm obsessive with my Fitbit. I focus a little bit too much on my daily steps. Yes, I want to hit my steps for my activity and whatever. I used to be really obsessive about all my other things that my Fitbit tracks, but I'm trying to be better. So if you know that you are not like a pen and paper tracker, I highly recommend like some kind of smartwatch or something that you can just wear it, and then like if you're in the gym and you're like, why isn't this weight moving? Oh, let me check how much sleep I got yesterday and compare it to last week. There are ways that you can track everything without having to track it like on pen and paper. But yes, back to the non-scale victories. I love me. Oh, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the smartwatch was one of the greatest inventions for me ever. Because I hate I have really shitty handwriting. I'm gonna be frank. So there are times where I can't even read my own writing. Um, so the smartwatch is just the greatest invention, and really it is. It can track all of those things that we talked about, like we said, our hydration, we would track our sleep. So yeah, that is the greatest invention ever, I think, for
Oh
someone who
yeah.
doesn't like to look at their own handwriting.
Yes, all the data. They have even I forget. Oh man, they have one that's even better than a Fitbit. It's not like an Apple Watch, but there's another one that's like specifically for Fitbit. I can't remember what it's called, but I've heard
The
good things
Garmin?
about that. No, it's like I've never. It's not like a name brand. It's like an up and coming one. I cannot remember what it's called. But anyway, I love me some non-scale victories. I talk about non-scale victories all the time. So non-scale victories, as the name implies, are victories that don't have to do with how much you weigh. I don't know about. I don't. I honestly can't remember how much we've talked about this, but I personally, when I get new clients, I'm like, I don't give a shit about your weight because there are so many things that go into your weight or like your BMI. Like I could care less about your BMI because your BMI is just your age or your height and your weight. It doesn't take into account your body fat percentage. It doesn't take into account your water weight, your bone density, whatever. You could, I always think this is like a little bit silly, but one of my friends who used to be oh no, she's still a trainer, never mind. One of my friends who's a trainer, she always says this, like I could chop your arm off and you would lose what, like 30 pounds? Would you want to lose those 30 pounds? No, because then you wouldn't have an arm. So like, who cares about how much you weigh? You're the only
Look at
person
your arm.
that I don't know. Okay, maybe that was a little. I mean, that was probably a little much. I was on a roll. I just threw out the first number that came to my mind. Listen, I got big muscles. Okay, I got some 30 pounders right there. But you don't want to lose 30 pounds. That's not relevant. You're the only one that knows how much you weigh, and we are so obsessed with our weight. Um, I don't give a shit how much you weigh, honestly. All I care about is like your confidence, which is why I love non-scale victories. So we can focus the main thing. It's a little I don't want to necessarily say it's like taboo, but one of the main tellers of like if you are doing a good job is your libido. So like your sex drive will tell you pretty much everything you need to know about your progress. If you, it is not normal to have low or no libido. So if you are experiencing that, you're either not, you're definitely not on the right track, health and fitness wise. Whether you're on a health and fitness journey to begin with, that will tell you everything you need to know. So if you have no libido, you need to change something. You either need to increase your calories, you need to work out less most of the time, because a lot of times people overdo it. Your mood will also tell you. So if you're like, if you feel like you're sluggish a lot, you have a little bit of low energy, like your mood and your energy kind of go hand in hand on that one. Or like you feel like you're always like not in the best like mental space. Track that. So when Dave was talking about tracking, you want to track your mood too, because as you go through your workouts, you may find like, okay, on this day, I was not feeling very good mentally. And now like I lifted something heavy and now my mental health is better. So you can kind of pick your training style based on how your mood is. Or maybe you're like, all right, I was feeling good. Then I did a strength focus phase and then my mood took a downward spike. So now I'm going to focus on hypertrophy training or I'm going to focus on resistance bands or whatever. So you, when you track that, we can know like what type of training works for your body. If your relationship with food and exercise is getting better. So if you started off with really bad binge eating or restrictive eating, and you started strength training and now you don't have that type of relationship with food, that's an amazing non-scale victory. Your mobility, your pain, we talked about your medical markers, your strength. Like I talked about, my big thing is confidence. So if you're starting your fitness journey and you have very low confidence, this is like my main goal for all of my clients, whether they want me to focus on their confidence or not, I am focusing on your confidence. Um, I am paying attention to the first day you came in, and I know I keep this in my head. I know what you were wearing the first day you came in. I know how much eye contact you made with me. I know how hesitant you were to walk up to the bar, and I'm paying attention to the as we start getting more confident. I see you start wearing the tank tops. I see you like, okay, we're deadlifting. You walked right up there. You got to it. You weren't looking at me like, okay, what? So whether you're paying attention to your confidence or not, if any of my clients, I have already had this conversation with you. You know I'm paying attention to your confidence because that, like Dave said in the beginning, is going to lead more into your job performance than you think losing weight or getting more fit will.
Let me tell you what, I don't mean to jump it in here, but one of the things that when we talk about non-scale victories, I think that isn't talked about enough is once you get to a certain level of weight, if even if your goal is to lose weight. As a matter of fact, I just had this conversation with one of my clients the other day. I have a specific client, and Laura's familiar with him, who's lost about 125 pounds. That was the last time I weighed him. I am now focused more on things that he can do in the gym, things that he is able to accomplish that he wasn't before, than I am on his weight. Because his weight loss, I mean, you've lost 125 pounds, and he still got some to go. I'm not gonna say that he doesn't, but tracking those other little things that he can do, how much more weight can he lift? How much better his form has gotten? How much better his range of motion has gotten because he has lost weight. And we just did that. He When I first started, I said, "Hey, can you get your elbows further behind your back on a bent over row?" And he couldn't because the bar kept hitting him in his stomach. Now he can get and where he's almost fully squeezing his elbows and being able to hold that negative. He can do pull-ups now. Uh,
Yes, I saw that.
he can do he can do pull-ups. He can do he was telling me he was out playing, playing ultimate frisbee the other day, which I didn't realize that people played in their adulthood. I thought that was just something we did in college. Um, but those small scale victories, the more things that we see, and the more things that we can focus on, the happier we're going to be about where we are.
Yeah. I also want to preface, I do, so if I have a client that's coming to me and they want to lose weight, I do care about their weight, like weight loss, because that's their goal. I don't specifically care what the number is, just to
Well,
clarify.
let me tell you something about weight loss, and again, this is another thing when you say your goal is weight loss. If your goal is weight loss, and I really want to say this, 'cause I don't think I've ever said this on this show, and it's something that I've actually recently sort of discovered. If your goal is truly weight loss, how much weight I think depends on whether or not your weight is truly weight. Your goal is truly weight loss. Because if you come to me and say I need to lose 10, really any less than 20 pounds, my first question is why do you need to lose less than 20 pounds?
Yeah,
In my client's case and in my own personal case, 100 pounds. When you going to lose 100 pounds, you need to lose 100 pounds because there's something out of whack somewhere along the line in your life. But when it's
yeah,
10 pounds or 10 or 15 or 20 pounds, there's no, I don't want to say it's easy, but it could be easy if you just put your mind to it. I find for most people though it's easier to lose 100 than it is to lose 20 because most people who come to me and say they want to lose 20 pounds or less, that's not really their goal.
yeah, 100%. That's why I was hoping you would go with that. It's more body fat or inches, and you can do that without changing your weight. I actually have a picture. I'll have to share it on our Instagram. I have a picture of when I was in college. I was always like, I don't have like a crazy like fitness success story because I was always like in sports and stuff. But when I went to college, I got access to unlimited food and soda, so that took a downward spiral. But I have a picture of when I was 185 pounds and I was in college. I don't really weigh myself, so I think I'm like roughly 185, 190 right now. If you looked at me, you would never think that I weigh almost 200 pounds. because my body composition is completely different than when I was 200, almost 200 pounds of body fat percentage. So yeah, you're 100% hit the nail on the head. If it's anywhere like 20 to whatever, anything less than that, you don't actually want to lose numbers.
Right.
You just want to look
You
slightly
want to
or different, not slightly
you want to
different, but
look you want to look different or you want to feel different is
yeah,
one of the two things. And I would
yes,
say this, and we've done this before because a lot of times Laura and I will take success pictures of our clients and we'll have them hold a weight or a kettlebell or something representative of the amount of weight I've lost. And I always think about this: if I gave you a 5 pound weight and I put it in a backpack or tied it to your back in some way, and you had to walk around all day with that 5 pound, 10 pound, even a 20 pound weight, it might get a little hard, but at the end of the day, you can probably power through it. If I put a 30 pound or a 50 pound weight on your back and told you to walk around all day, that now we're doing something. Now you're going to be like, oh my God, and that's a lot.
yeah.
So yeah, you just
Yeah,
gotta want
losing
it.
weight and losing fat are definitely different things. And a lot of people don't know that because we're always fed like, oh, you have to lose weight. Like you go to your doctor and all they care about is your weight, unless you're going for like a specialist or whatever. But your doctor
Mhm.
cares a lot about your weight and your BMI, and it gets me a little heated, which is why I went on a tangent and got a little mad and I threw a little F-bomb in there because I just do not like the focus on the number on the scale. It doesn't
Have I ever
matter.
told you?
You're
Have I ever told you my story about BMI when I was in high school?
I don't think so.
So, when I was in high school, and I've said this before, I was very athletic. I played lacrosse. And if you're not familiar with lacrosse in Maryland, it's a lot like football in Texas. It's kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that I played with, and I was above average. I wasn't fantastic, but there was a guy I played with. I also played hockey with him, who was very good, and he got recruited by John Hopkins, which is a lacrosse powerhouse. Uh, for those of you who are not familiar with the sport, um, he got recruited by them. Well, he had to go take a physical, and it was a Saturday morning practice, and he comes into practice a little bit late, and we're in the locker room after practice. He's talking about. I was like, "Oh yeah, how'd it go?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, they told me I was overweight." Well, here's a dude that plays high school lacrosse who's getting recruited by John Hopkins to play lacrosse and also plays ice hockey. The dude was in shape. Like, what part of you is overweight? But the doctor told me he was overweight, and I can't remember the exact number. And I've actually recently looked up my BMI based on my height. I should be about 10, 10 pounds, I'm sorry, 5 pounds less than the weight that I had to dehydrate myself to make.
Yeah. It's like disgusting how low they
Hmm.
want you to be. It tells me I'm obese. Like, cool, thanks. Let's just tell everybody that they're overweight. That'll definitely get them to lose weight and not send them
Right?
into a downward
So,
spiral. Like,
right.
good job.
And we wonder why eating disorders are on the decline.
Right.
But that sort of goes back to what we were talking about before about being proud of your victories, being proud of the things that we do. And I think one of the things that has come recently is sort of almost I want to call it fitness shaming. We should be proud of ourselves because first of all, let me tell you what, as someone who does have a relatively big fitness success story, it is freaking hard and it is something that you should be proud of. Once you've done it and once you can maintain it, that is something no one can ever take away from you, and you should be able to shout that shit from from the rafters from on whatever platform that you choose.
Hell yeah. 100%. Yeah, even like no matter what, I think that okay, so sometimes like there's like this culture right now, and sometimes it comes up on like Instagram Reels and stuff. It's like these like audios that are supposed to be like motivating, and it'll be like it's the same guy every time. I don't know who it is, but it'll be like work in silence and never let anybody know your next move or like some dumb shit like that. No, I am a hard disbeliever of the work in silence movement. No, no, no. You need to be your number one. If you're not going to hype yourself up, nobody else is going to hype yourself up. Like you may have supportive friends and family and they be like, yes, I see you putting in the work, like you're making some changes, but you are there. You're the only one that's there every single day, every single workout, every single time you put food into your mouth. You are the only one that's there. So you need to hype yourself up. At the end of the day, you need to sit back and be like, damn, I killed that. I am doing such a good job. And it might feel silly, but the way that you talk to yourself, whether you're doing it intentionally or not, it translates into your behaviors. So the more positively you speak to yourself, the more your confidence is going to improve, the better mood you're going to have. Your mental health is going to be better. So don't be afraid to post on social media. Don't be afraid to hype yourself up, whether you are doing that publicly or on your own. Don't wait for anybody else to tell you that you're doing a good job. You never know who is watching you. When you think it's silly to post like a gym selfie because you don't want people to judge you or you don't want people to make fun of you or whatever, who cares? Honestly, live that says more about them than it does about you. If you genuinely think that people are out there judging you, you may need to have a conversation about who you are letting follow you on social media or who you are following on social media. And that's a whole nother thing I could get heated about again. But post your selfies because not only does it keep you accountable, but you may be motivating somebody else. So, like, if you're in there every single day posting your selfie to your story, so you may not have this as like a conscious thought, but you may start to think, like, oh my gosh, I have to make it to the gym because like XYZ that follows me on Instagram, they're going to see that I didn't go today and they're going to like think I'm like slacking off. Is that the best motivator for why you should go to the gym? No, because you should do it for yourself and not because anybody else wants you to. But if you need, like, if you're in this process of making excuses and your social media post is the thing that's going to get you to go, at the end of the day, all I really care about is that you went and you got your workout in. And it's going to build your confidence because that first time you post a picture, I still remember my first like gym selfie. I was afraid. I wasn't a trainer then. I was like pretty into lifting at that point, but that's not what my Instagram was about. So I couldn't post a gym selfie. I still remember, and this is like no, in no means like bragging or anything. Like you should never like compare yourself to anybody else. It's absolutely not me because I'm not a, I never want anybody to compare themselves to anybody. So please don't do it with me because I'll be very sad. But I still remember how many people were like, "Oh my God, girl, like I saw you like in your selfie or whatever, like you're killing it." That's going to build your confidence. And not only is it going to keep you accountable, but people commenting and like sending their little fire reactions to your stories, you're going to be like, damn, you know what? I am doing good. And you're going to keep that positive self talk. And that is what's going to keep you pushing through your journey as we go along, also.
Absolutely. No one should, I'm going to say this. No one should believe in you as much as you. You
Yes.
are your own biggest cheerleader because at the end of the day, all of these goals, no matter what they are, how much we track them, how specific or how attainable they are, your goals. And yes,
Yep.
there are goals that are unrealistic. Like if I decided that I suddenly at 44 years old wanted to play in the NBA, that's an unrealistic goal. Okay? But beyond something crazy like that, there is really no such thing as an unrealistic goal unless we're trying to do something crazy in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
Your goals are your goals, your whys are your whys. The thing is, and I think if we could put one theme into this, is that whatever that why is you need to believe in it and you need to believe in you. Like I said before, nobody should believe in you as much as you. We need to celebrate ourselves along the way. There are small victories. Like Laura said, your first gym selfie, the first time you posted a gym selfie, and Laura, you're old enough to pretty much have, from the time you would have really gotten serious in the gym, like selfies were already a thing. Gym selfies again, guys. Gym selfies didn't become a thing until I was well into my 30s. By the
Yeah.
time that social media, I was 32 by the time I had my first social media account. Um, so some people are afraid to do that. So when you post your first gym selfie, when you remember it, you that is a milestone. When you add a plate to your lift, that is a milestone. When you lose weight, when you're dropping a 5 pound, when you can shave a minute off of your mile, or I'm sorry, not a minute, yeah, a minute off of your 5K time, that is a milestone.
Yes.
When you do some sort of crazy high intensity cardio, and at the end of it, you're something like, I'm not as when I don't feel like I'm going to puke. That is a milestone. That is what we're talking about the non-scale measurable victories.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I just thought of this real quick. If you are hesitant to post a selfie on social media, tag me, tag Dave, tag our She Lifts, He Lifts Instagram, and we will be in the comments hyping you up. So there's three people that you have automatically 3 likes, even though the Instagram is just us, but we'll pretend it's another person. You'll have 3 likes. I'm gonna comment the shit out of that from both of our Instagrams. So if you're afraid to post something, please tag all three of us, and we will make sure to hype you up so that like you don't have to feel like it's not a safe space. We promise and I'm speaking for Dave, so I'm sure Dave is down with this, but just in case he's
David's
not,
down with it. I don't,
he
yeah.
he now is. But we will hype you up and make your gym selfie a safe space for you. I just want to throw that out there because that's super important too.
That's awesome. I'm glad you thought of that. But my point is this: celebrate yourself, celebrate the small victories, celebrate everything about this journey. Because at the end of the day, there are plenty of people who aren't taking this journey, and they're sitting there and saying, "Oh, I need to lose weight," as they reach for their second bag of potato chips. There are plenty of people that saying, "I want to get healthy," and instead of going to the gym, they're going to the doctor, and they're going to the pharmacy to get whatever blood pressure medicine or diabetes medicine. There are plenty of people out there, and guys, not that there's anything wrong with that, because I'm not trying to shame anybody into coming to the gym or trying to get fit. But what I am saying is there are plenty of people that don't want to put the work in and don't want to put the effort in that you're putting in. If you're listening to this podcast right now, if you're listening to Coach Dave and Coach Laura talk about goals and nutrition and our fitness journeys, I can guarantee that you're here because you want advice, you want direction, and you want something to work towards. So guess what? This is your roadmap. We are your fitness GPS, and we are going to get you where you want to go.
Yes. Step one. Even if you haven't taken a step into the gym, this is step one. So you already took your first step. So easy. On to the
Right.
next.
So that's about all the time we have for this week. So next week, join us next week. We are going to have ourselves a little happy hour. That's right. We are talking about our hydration, about our water intake, some things to do about liquid calories, things to help us feel better in the gym. Hydration is one of those things, by the way, that we talked about earlier, tracking that can really throw off one of your lifts, um, especially in your big lifts in your squats, your deadlifts, your bench presses. That is one of those things that I think that really should be tracked, probably almost as much as your nutrition. So we're going to talk about that next week. So until next week, I am Coach Dave. Check me out at Rockstar Fitness on Facebook, dwebster023 on Instagram. Check us out at the He Lifts, She Lifts podcast on Instagram.
And I'm Laura. You can follow me at Laura Ash underscore CPT on TikTok and Instagram, and Laura Ash personal trainer on Facebook. Don't forget, you can do hard things.
Until next week.
Woo!